Welcome back to the Be the CEO of Your Life and Business podcast. This week, Amy and I want to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks. I've had a couple of conversations that really made me think a lot about it. And I'm just going to call it, You're Going to Be Okay. And that means that we want to talk about how hard it is to be a working mom when your kids are younger. You're juggling so many things, and it's just like there are days when you are just like physically, mentally wiped out. And I spent, my kids are very close in age and I have three. So I spent many years in that like survival mode. And now they're older. They're almost 13, which is so insane, 13, 11 and 10. And I finally feel like I'm coming out on the other side. Like 2 weekends ago, actually the last 2 Friday nights, Kaylee was at a sleepover, the boys were at baseball, and I was by myself. And I was like, what is happening? Nobody's calling for me. No, it was just weird. But I kind of felt like, oh my God, I like made it.
It's like your Mount Everest, right? Like you reached the top.
Yeah, no, it was like, and then I just started thinking back as to like the phase that you're in now.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Like it's almost impossible to put into words how hard it is. Just raising kids alone when they're young is hard.
Yeah.
But combine that with having a full-time career and it's next to impossible. Like there are things you can do to like get through it. And for me, it was just all about survival. So I had my, things that we'll talk about, like my morning routine and my workout and all that stuff. But there was nothing that made it easy. Like it was just hard. And I want to tell you today that you will come out on the other side. Like it will be okay. And that's really my message now that I'm here.
I love this topic. It gives me hope. Because I think that everything is relative too, because my kids are now 6 and 2. And if you asked me about this a year ago, I probably would have started bawling my eyes out because it was such a different time and it was so tough. But as you see, you get more comfortable, you get more confidence in how you're raising your kids and handling all of the things and juggling them all. And you can either choose to recognize that, or you can choose to kind of like dwell in the suck of it, right? Like dwell in the feelings of like, you're not doing enough, or you're not enough for the time and the season that you're going through with your kids. But I gotta be honest, it's kind of crazy because with us, when we started this firm, the dichotomy was I was pregnant at the time with my second.
Not just pregnant, but like 9 months pregnant.
I was 8.5 months pregnant when we started our firm. And Laura, like to her credit, was like, yep, let's still do this. Come on, you can do it. And I had no idea what I was going to do or what it was going to look like, but I just kind of rolled with it. I kind of just let go and just kept on moving forward and taking every day as it came. And I think that that's one tip that I can give and contribute to this, because I'm still in the midst of not having nights to myself, not having any of that free space and time. I think the one tip that I would say is that you have to just take each day as it comes.
Yeah. And looking back, I never gave myself grace ever.
Right.
Like I was so hard on myself, always saying to myself, like, why is this so hard? Is there something wrong with me? Like, why am I constantly stressed?
Yeah.
And and that was while I was I was taking care of myself. Like I had my morning routine. I ate healthy. I worked out. Like I did what I slept to the extent that I could. I did take care of myself, and I still was just tired. Like you go to work, you get up and you're, juggling to get the kids out of the house. At one point when they were still in preschool, I had, Mike was working in the city at that time. So he wasn't home to help me in the morning. So it was like 3 rest bags, 3 backpacks, 3 lunch boxes, 3 kids and myself getting out of the house every day.
Yeah.
And it was so hard.
Yeah.
And I never gave myself grace ever. Like I was always so hard on myself and felt like I should be doing more, and I was failing everywhere. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right?
A ton of sense. But that's because you're in the thick of it.
Right.
Right? Isn't it so easy whenever you are talking to somebody else and they're struggling with, I don't know, whatever kind of crisis it is. Let's say they're trying to apply for a new job and they don't think that they're qualified. You're the first person to turn around and be like, oh my God, you could totally nail this.
Yes.
God, you're going to knock it out of the park. But when you talk about yourself in that way, you're like, oh, wait, let me start on the con side of things. And let me
Yep.
go through all of the negative things that I can think of that I'm not doing, that I'm not living up to, that your idea of what every day was supposed to look like. But during that period of time for you, you got 3 kids under the age of 5 out of your house by yourself every single day. And then went to your job. Which I know Laura was there at like 7:45 every single morning and stayed all day long. And then as soon as she left, it was the list going off of what do I have to do for the rest of the night? We say this all the time. It's almost like I think one day we're going to have like a board or something somewhere in our office, and it's going to be a clock, and all of us ladies are going to come in and put down what time we actually were able to sit down after like the nighttime routine of
that would be never
dinner and dinner, dishes, bath time, or whatever, getting the kids settled into bed. Because I literally come home from work and I am on the go until at least 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. Like, yes, there's dinner in between, but sometimes if I'm home with the kids by myself, I'm still like up in the kitchen, like scarfing down dinner while I'm getting their snack bags ready for the next day. It's like constantly doing, you know how much you're accomplishing? Like, do you realize how much you are achieving? You know?
We don't think about it like that.
No.
At all.
Nope.
I never thought about it like that. And I always thought that I was failing at everything, like failing at work, failing at home. Because, our profession is hard to begin with. And throw 3 little kids in the mix and not being able to stay in the office anymore until whenever I needed to. It was incredibly difficult. And I always thought I was failing everywhere. And you're so right. Like, it's not like you can come home. Like before I had kids, I used to love Fridays. Like I used to come home from work, sit on the couch, watch TV, no responsibility. And then like, I haven't done that in 13 years,
right?
Since before Matthew was born.
Right.
And it just changes. And so now I'm lucky if I sit at all before I get in bed at night. I don't sit down, even though, and my kids are older now, and it's still like at dinner, I'm getting them dinner, getting their plates ready. Everybody's eating. My dinner's usually cold by the time I sit at the table, right? Because I'm making sure they have what they need. Now Mike with his show, like making sure, like getting his plate ready, getting the kids, can you get me water? Can you get me this? And it's like half the time, by the time I sit down, my food's cold. Yeah. And that's just, I mean, is it the way it is as a mom? Like, that's your
experience, right?
Yeah.
And let me drop this footnote here. This is not us saying that, okay, this is your life and you better accept it. And like, too bad, so sad. Don't make time for yourself. It's just going to be a rat race. These are all just like facts, right? Like it is exhausting. It is nonstop. We are very busy and we choose to prioritize our kids when we leave our office for the day. So we are choosing to do all of these things, but it's a question of how are you going to attach emotions, or what emotions are you going to attach to what you're doing? Because you can sit there and be like, oh, woe is me. My food's cold and I have to get the kids all of their stuff. But then on the flip side, I'm happy I'm also just home with my kids at dinner time, because if I was working in a white shoe firm in the city, I would have a nanny or an au pair taking care of my kids and feeding them and bathing them and putting them to bed. So there's a switch. And I think there's a level of perception that you can also take from this episode, that if you are feeling really like, I don't know, bogged down by the schedule and by the rat race that it feels like it is, I think you could also say that it could always be worse, or you could always choose to take, an attitude of gratitude and realize like the positive and the good from the experience.
And that is incredibly difficult to do.
It
It
is
is
so
so
hard.
hard. Like it's so hard.
hard.
And I'm going to be totally honest. It's an attitude that I did not have ever.
Yeah.
And I've just started being more conscious of that, I would say over the last year or two, but Matthew's going to be 13. Like, so I've spent the last however many years with that attitude of just dread and exhaustion, because no matter what I did, I was tired.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody last week and she said, she's got young kids. And she said, sometimes I say to my husband, like, I just want to go to sleep and not wake up. Not meaning she wants to die, but like,
Yeah, no, but
she's
just
so tired that like, she can barely function. It's like, what did I say to you before? We're so tired today and we're just like exhausted. And it's Friday that we're recording this. And I'm like, it's like we are just crawling to the finish line of this week, crawling. And a lot of times that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
When you have little kids and you're managing, a full-time job or a career or whatever you have going on. But now I can see like being kind of on the other side of it now that my kids are a little bit older, that you will come out of it.
You will survive 100% of your worst days, right? Like here we are. We have survived 100% of the bad days that we have experienced already. I'm looking forward to the day where I can just sit down. I don't even remember, and I have not have had kids for as long as Laura has. I don't remember what I did on a Friday night after work, like coming home before Olivia was born. I don't know.
I just remember having so much freedom. So much freedom. I used to love General Hospital. Like I haven't watched it in years, but like that's what I used to do. I used to catch up on General Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
For the week, I used to just sit down, put my feet up, and that was like a lot of years ago.
Yes.
A lot of years ago. And it's so funny how you change, because now like I wouldn't even want to do that.
No, right.
Like now my life is so different that I would rather sit down and like read a book or like just relax or something like that. But
you know what else I struggle with though? I'll tell you this. I actually don't like days that aren't very well, you know this. I don't like days that aren't structured. I always like to have a plan or something to be working towards, even if it's on the weekend. And this drives my husband crazy because why can't you just wake up on a Saturday and eat breakfast and just sip on coffee and just not have a plan? And I'm like, that's because we have 7 loads of laundry. Our house is a disaster and we have things to do. Right. And listen, he knows that too, but his pace is so different than mine. But what I find is that I'm even more tired when I don't have direction in my days. So in a sense, these kids and their schedules and like their needs of me keep me on my feet and keep me from getting like exhausted from not doing anything as well.
Yeah. Now that since you are still in that phase, what are some of the things you do to keep your life together?
Well, I try to wake up earlier than the rest of the house so I can have some peace and quiet, because I don't get that until the end of the night. And like, I will tell you, if everybody else is going to sleep and asleep already, as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out. Like there's no just unwinding for me at night. I'm like, okay, everybody's in bed. I'm going to bed. Bye. See ya. I don't like to sit around and watch TV anymore, even though I used to all the time. Even when Olivia was little, I used to do that. Now I'm like, oh, good. Day is done. Here we go. So I try to get up early just to give myself some of that time. I think having the commute of back and forth to the office has really helped. I listen to podcasts. I talk to family. I talk to friends. I'm like really trying to use that time a little bit better for myself and not just the worrying of the to-do list that's waiting for me when I get home. But yeah, my typical morning routine has really been helping me. But the other thing that I've learned from Yuza, who's sitting next to me, is that when you are constantly on the go, you can be processing everything that you should have been doing or the things that have to be done, and you're not going to be present in the moments that you're in. And it's okay to take a step back and just say, you know what, let the laundry wait, let the dishes wait, let's go sit on the couch with the kids, let's go play a game, let's go for a walk, let's get outside, let's just watch them play, like whatever it is. So just take a beat. And it's really hard. It's really hard because when you get in that momentum of like wanting to do and get things done, it could feel really like self-fulfilling, very productive. But then in hindsight, I'm always like, that could have waited. I could have sat and just relaxed, you know? So I think that's the comment about grace that you were talking about.
I have definitely gotten better at that. Like last night, Matthew had yesterday was Mike's birthday. Matthew had a wrestling match yesterday. So we were out, we came home, we had dinner, we had cake, and of course there was laundry. I mean, what else is new? There's always laundry in my dryer waiting for me. So in my head, I'm like, okay, I can get this laundry folded and then I won't have to do anything tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then I had Christopher standing there saying, can you listen to me practice my saxophone? And I was like, you know what? The laundry will be there tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to sit with Chris.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I went up to his room and I sat in his room while he practiced his saxophone. It was so cute. And like years ago when they were younger, I would have never done that. I would have been like, we'll do it another time. I have laundry to do. I have this and that. But like, you're not going to get these moments back. Like the laundry will be there this weekend. I can do it tonight, whatever, you know? But that is a huge work in progress for me. Because I am not good at like leaving like when I have things and I can see them in like my peripheral vision, like I can see the dishes in the sink. I can see the table needs to be cleared off. I can know the laundry is waiting for me. I have like a panic attack. But I have gotten better at just taking a step back and saying, you know what, Christopher's more important than the laundry. I'm going to go hang out with him for a little bit.
And for any of you listening that can't relate, don't start getting judgy on us, because unless you're sitting here in our shoes or feeling like we know there are plenty of moms and even dads listening to this that carry a very large burden of, you know, their work life, their home life, and trying to just keep it all together. It is really hard. And it sounds really simple, like, oh, my kid's more important than laundry. But when you're in the thick of it, you can't recognize that all the time. And we've had to do a lot of like work and self-awareness and leaning on each other to like talk about these things, to be like, okay, it's okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to get to those tasks. I'm in the same boat now too, because Olivia's reading is just exploding. And it's so fun to listen to her read. And she wants to read a book every single night. And it's amazing. And there are some nights where she's like, okay, mommy, you read that book. I want to read you a book now. And yeah, is it past bedtime? Probably. But it's like, she's so excited. She's so eager. Let her do this. Even though I can't keep my eyes open without toothpicks, like I'm so tired, I let her do it anyway, because it's those moments. You're so right. It's like, you won't get that opportunity again. And walking out of like her room over the threshold, I'm like, all right, let's go get another book. You know, let's sit here for a couple minutes longer.
And what I did when my kids were Olivia's age is I said, no. I was like, I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. I have stuff to do. It's been a long day. You guys need to go to sleep. And so I most often would say no. And it's a mistake, at least for me, I think, because you can't get that time back. You know, like everything's going to be sitting there waiting for you. But I was just so tired that I could not even fathom like one more thing.
I know.
And I think that that's how a lot of moms feel, is that like you're so, and that's the conversation I was having last weekend. It's like, you're so dead tired that like you can barely function anymore. And to sit and listen to like one more story and one more page, it's like, I just can't do it. And that's how I felt when they were younger. Like I was so tired, I was barely getting by, but like just mentally, not just physically tired, but like mentally exhausted from juggling it all. So I thought that this would be a good topic to talk about today, because the conversation has been popping up a lot for me lately.
Mhm.
And I know it's an issue that a lot of working moms struggle with. So give yourself grace. Don't be mad at yourself for feeling just like dead, so tired, like barely functioning, because you've got a lot going on. You're
Mhm.
managing the kids, managing work. Do whatever you can to take care of yourself in the interim. And then one day when you reach where I am, you will realize that like you made it to the other side. Listen, there
Take
are
it
lots
one
of
day at a time,
one day at a
though.
time. There are, like the saying, bigger kids, bigger problems
Oh,
is
yeah.
1000% true. Because now that's the phase that I'm in, but it's just different. It's different. It's totally different.
Yeah.
And when the kids are young and you're working, it's really, really hard. So we hope these tips were helpful for you today. We thank you for spending time with us, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.